Today we're going to do a fire roasted salsa. I'm going to show you a few ways that I make this salsa, a few of the tricks on how to figure out if a jalapeno is spicy or not so spicy. There's a few tricks on that. And then also how to fire roast your tomatoes and jalapenos in a way where you can still save the juices and bring the best out of your salsa. So if you'd like to learn how I do that, go ahead and continue watching and we'll jump into how to make salsas. Grab a chip, let's eat, guys. So one of the little tips or tricks that I really like as far as how to pick a spicy jalapeno versus not as spicy jalapeno, just have this like bright green color to it. That kind of indicates that it's medium or very low spicy. As soon as you start seeing a jalapeno that has these little white streaks on them, it's kind of a good indication to know that this jalapeno, it has a little kick to it. In order to get our tomatoes ready to be roasted, is get an aluminum sheet, maybe about this big, and start to pick out the tomatoes that you want to use once you've already washed them. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 tomatoes. I find that any more than this, then things start to spill over. You can definitely do 2 or 3 batches of this. But what you can do is add in your tomatoes, add in a jalapeno, and flip. The nice thing about this type of salsa is that it doesn't really matter as far as the amounts. Every tomato is different, every jalapeno is different. You can go ahead and start to taste things and change it around. But as long as you can get a few of these things roasted, then it'll help. So if you go ahead and fold it that way, if you just keep it at one aluminum foil sheet, you run the risk of the juices coming out of this top part. You don't want to do that. The juices are what give this salsa its flavor. So that being said, check the top part, grab another sheet, make sure you press down on it, go around, do a little flipperoo. It should look something like that. In this case, we've done it twice. We better our chances to not lose some of those juices. So let's go ahead and put that over the pan and start roasting. So you're just going to continue to flip over your foil. And at this point, I've kind of done my little test or my trick to figure out, is it time to open up these little tomato guys? And what I do is I kind of pinch the sides. When I first put this on the pan or comal, the tomatoes were really on the like harder, stiff side, kind of like this. But once they're really roasted and ready to go, you'll see these little juices here kind of seep out a little bit, and when you touch it, they'll be soft. So I'm fairly confident that they've roasted enough, but the only way to really find out is to check. There, perfect. Flip it over. Be careful not to burn your fingers. Okay. So I'm looking at it here. We've got some roasted marks there, which is great. The tomato itself is squishy, which is wonderful. So this is good. Everything is cooked. We're gonna go ahead and put this off to the side, let it cool just a second or two. We're gonna go ahead and lightly roast our dried chiles de arbol. I went ahead and did the comal or the pan at about medium heat. It's warmed already. It's always good to wait for it to warm up a second or two before putting the chiles on, so you have a good idea of how hot your surface is. I'm gonna go ahead and roast 5 of them. You never know how spicy they are until you kind of taste it. So just to stay on kind of the side of caution, I'm gonna just do a few more just in case. Now, at this point, I don't want to go off and do too much because you don't ever really want to burn the chiles in a way where they start to get sort of a sour taste to them. If they're too burnt, you're just kind of toasting them. It's a little bit on the toasty side. Don't worry too much if some of them do get on the toastier, darker side, we can always take those out. We want happy little chiles. We want to make sure that we give them enough heat and enough space. If yours do end up burning, don't worry, you can either take off the burn part or you can start again, because these little guys are really what's going to give the heat to our salsa. Okay, so I'm starting to smell the seeds inside are toasting, and I'm just about, you can kind of see a little bit of the heat come off of them. Please be very careful, don't burn yourself. If you're worried about doing that, go ahead and use some tongs. This is not the type of thing that you want to burn yourself with, but don't panic. I'm Hispanic. I've been doing this for quite a few years. I'm starting to smell all of the aromas. I'm starting to sense that those, we'll start setting those aside and get ready to kind of put our salsas together. So to start off, if you're gonna do this in a molcajete, if it's something that you have around that a family member has and you wanna try it out, go ahead and try it. One of the things I like to start with this recipe is to do the salt right at the beginning. I find that this helps with the flavor profile of the whole recipe in general, if I can just, from the beginning, grind that down. If you can get it to look sort of like a powder, then you're good to go. The next thing I'm gonna do is the chile de arbol. Cut that in half or in just little pieces if you can. And then the same thing, you want to go ahead and grind that in. This might take a little bit of maneuvering with your wrist, but most importantly, incorporate it with the salt. I'm going to put half of the garlic that I boiled earlier. Now we're making this sort of into a paste. At this point, I want to take all of those juices that I saved, and I typically like to just make a little weld like that. And same thing, you're kind of making it into a little bit more of a watery paste. If there's bigger pieces that you run into, bring it off to the side of the molcajete and kind of give it an angle. It should do the trick. Now, the trick about the tomatoes that you roasted is try taking off some of that skin. It helps with the acidity not being as high for the salsa. You can leave some on, it's not a big deal, but this is something that my family has done. It seems to work really well with this recipe. So, because you've got so many more juices in this, don't get aggressive with pounding it down. The juices will just kind of fly everywhere. Take this time to do it slowly. One too many times it's popped out at me. If you don't have a molcajete, don't worry, you can do the same exact thing, but in a blender. Just add all of the ingredients, or in a food processor, and just blend it on low. Maybe 5 to 10 seconds, see if the consistency looks similar to this. And if so, then you're good to go. So at this point, it's very important to have an idea of what this tastes like. That's the only way you'll know where to go from here as far as the spice, or as far as the salt and the tomato consistencies. The other thing is, I do like the chiles de arbol, and they add great flavor, but I have a jalapeño here that I want to add in as well. I'm going to do half. It just adds another layer of flavor, which always helps with this type of salsa. It's a chunky salsa. It doesn't have to be blended completely unless that's what you like, then go ahead and do that. But for me, as long as it's in there and somewhat chunky, then that works for me. You can go ahead and add the onion as much as you like. And you can add the cilantro. But your salsa should look something like this. Again, if you don't have a molcajete, don't worry about it. Just do the same things, add in the same amount of things into your blender or food processor. That's it for this recipe. I hope you enjoyed learning a few of the tips and tricks for the fire roasted salsa. If you have any other questions about this recipe or want to know more, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I'll get back to you on that. And if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful for you in any way, go ahead and put the little like button. It just lets us know that you want more videos like this. Hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy your salsas.